right, I see the recording has started. So hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning. I imagine I'm what's standing between you and lunch. So thank you for joining me. I'll try to make this as valuable as we can in the last little bit. Hope you're having a great eCoach day so far. Today, we're going to talk about using Brightspace for early learners. My goal for today, just to kind of level set, is really to give you one thing that you can go and do in the class that will be valuable for your young learners. And so we're going to have some workshop time today to play around with this, to build something. I really want this to be something you can go away with and have something to use in your course. So if you have already been with me this morning, I'm sorry this is a repeat introduction, but my name is Bridget Connolly. I'm the manager of the Global Success Program at D12. Prior to joining D12 about 3 years ago, I was a secondary school teacher in Ontario, where I live. I taught English and family studies. So our agenda today, again, sorry if you were with me, this is how I like to set things up. It's going to be kind of fluid. We're going to talk about using Google Slides within Brightspace, which is something I know many of you have done before, talking about announcements, video note, and home pages and how Brightspace works with that. Do a demo and a workshop, and then have some Q&A and resources for you as well. So again, this is really going to be workshop style. So I'm going to start by talking about the how-to, how it could look for you, give you an example, but then we'll spend some time for you to be able to play with it and do it in a way that makes sense for your courses. The announcements tool is the first one I want to chat about. If you haven't used it before, just to kind of bring us back to where it is, an announcement tool is a tool on your class landing page or your home page that you can use to share weekly to-do lists, plan classroom announcements, as well as exciting information about an important topic. You can also include multimedia like embedded YouTube videos or video notes or audio notes, and font can be personalized. I really like to think of the announcements tool as the bulletin board in the virtual space of the online classroom, the kind of thing where you can put up a new bulletin board for every unit, or if there's a different season or one of somebody's birthdays, whatever it might be, you can do this type of thing with announcements. I have just two examples of some announcements that I've made in the past. This one on the left-hand side here is about holidays. So you can see we've got some different font going on. The blue text is a quick link out to something else within Brightspace, so students can click on that, access it right from there. So one of the key messages that I want to share today for using Brightspace with young learners is really to use your homepage as your hub. I know it's very difficult for young learners to click around to different spots and find out where to go and have their parents know where to click. But if you use an announcement and link everything right within there, use that as your hub, it's an easy way for students to have one spot to go to know where things can be. So if that's the only message you get from today, is that that's kind of my goal, is that you'll use an announcement as a hub, use your homepage as your hub for your online space there for students. We've got some videos that you can put into announcements, some pictures, can really make it really dynamic. This one over here on the right-hand side about movie madness, again, have some text. We have it broken up with different lines here, and you can quick link out to items as well. So again, just to bring it to that bulletin board analogy that I like to use, in your face-to-face classroom with something like a bulletin board, you can have your weekly schedule posted on the chalkboard, create reminders for information, keep a record of key course materials that you need to share each year, and create handmade visual aids like handouts, posters, and brochures every year. You can do the same kind of stuff in announcements, plus you can share weekly to-do lists, schedule communication to automatically go out on a later date. So if you know that you're going to be away one day and you'd like to schedule something so that it's already posted for the supply teacher that you might have in there, it can be posted there and you can have that all scheduled there. You can copy information in your courses year over year and course over course. You can include multimedia like YouTube videos or, again, video notes. And you can release announcements to only some students based on different factors, like a certain group of students or learners who might have completed a specific task. So that's, if you're really getting into the announcements and you want to start to use them, you can use the release conditions there. These next couple of slides I really have as just a resource for you. So again, the slides today are more of a resource for you when they're shared out. What we're going to do today will be largely demo. So I'm not going to go through all of these slides into detail. These are just a breakdown of how to use Google Slides in Brightspace if this is not something you've done before. So I believe Darren will share out the slides so you can have access to those, but I'm going to walk through this in our demo as well. So I'm going to skip over these slides, but just know they are here for you as a resource as you're going through this. Another cool thing that I wanted to call out that I like to use within an announcement, especially for our young learners, well, this is a little blurry there, but is our video note tool. So again, these slides here are just as a kind of how-to with video note. I will demonstrate that to show you what video note looks like. And it's a really great way for our young learners who might not be at reading level yet, for you to be able to talk to them, explain to them what the instructions are. You can record up to 30 minutes. So if you have a story time that you want to do, you can have the video of yourself doing that, or you can also just do audio only if you don't want to have to always be on video. You can do that as well. So again, those are just some slides for how to do that. So with that, we're now going to take a look at how this can all happen in action. So here I am in my course, and what I've done is I've set my course up in a way to really show that Brightspace as the hub, the learning, the homepage is the hub here. So I have taken off my other widgets except for my announcements here. So you can play around with your widgets. Widgets are essentially anything that take up space on the home screen, and I'll show you how to add those, how to delete those, what that looks like. But for the sake of today, I've made just announcements here. That way students have one spot to go to. You could even, you can get rid of the banner if you'd like to, if you find that that's taking up too much space. So you can customize this to what makes sense for your young learners. If you do need to edit your homepage, you can do so by going down to the 3 dots at the bottom of your page. You'll see Manage Homepages and Edit this homepage. I'm going to go to Edit this homepage. And here's where you can add or delete widgets or move them around. So you might have, you might want to have your teacher profile widget on one side so that students can see that. Oops. There we go. So I can add that onto there, can drag it around to where I would like it to be, and save and close or delete widgets as you need them. So then if I scroll down here, I've got my teacher profile there. And again, you could move these around to where it makes sense for you, knowing that we want to make this as easy as a space for students as possible. To create our announcement, the first thing I want to do is show the Google Slides and set that up so that we can come back and add that into our announcement. So I know that Google is something that you're very familiar with, having used it a lot. So I wanted to really draw on that as something you could pull into Brightspace today. I am going to create just a Google Agenda, a Bitmoji classroom. I know those were really big back when remote learning was happening. And I know that Darren has a lot of great resources about class agendas and different types that you can use. I've got those in the resources for us as well. So if you haven't created a Google slide before in the way that we're going to today as information for students, I've set this one up as simple as I can, just for the students to click on the number 1. When you click on that, there's information for them to go to. Click on the number 2 so they know where to go. So you can make this as classroom-like or as simple as you would like. So I'm just going to create a new one here, and I'll walk through the steps in case you haven't done this before. The first thing I want to do is add a background. So I'm going to go to my background button here, select an image. I've already gone ahead and searched this, but I'm going to search for a wall. So you can search for Google Images. You can bring in a different image if you would like to, whatever you'd like it to look like. I can insert that wall there. Now I've got my background here, and I can start to add in some images. So if I want to, I can go to Insert Image, search the web. Oh, it's already got my stuff here, so I can search for a whiteboard. So maybe this is where I would like to start today. And again, you can add in whatever makes sense for your students, however you'd like to set this up in a way that's consistent and easy for your students to follow. I also always like to add in my little Bitmoji. I have the Bitmoji extension up here, so I can just grab my Bitmoji there so that my students can see me there. And then we can insert some numbers. So this I find is a really great way for students who might not be at reading level yet, just using those colorful numbers for them to start with. So I'm going to go again to insert image, search the web, and I'm going to search first for the number 1. I'll insert this yellow one. Can make it whatever size I need it to be. And however many activities I would like the students to do, I can add in those numbers there. So I'm going to do 3 for the sake of today. Insert that orange 2. And then insert my number 3. So again, you can make this however you would like, whatever makes sense for your students. If you want to make this a nice classroom, I've got some other examples that I'll show as well of how this could look, but you can keep it as simple or as robust as you would like it to. So I'm going to make this a little pathway for my students now. So I'm going to insert an arrow here from the number 1 to the number 2, and I can make this bigger. Oops, that's a bit too big. So that students know they have to go from that one, from 1 to 2. Oops. And copy that arrow and paste that there. And so now I've got a very basic kind of agenda for students to go through. They can start with number 1, go to number 2, go to number 3, and click through there. The next step is to actually add content to these numbers so that clicking on these takes students somewhere. And I really want to, again, reiterate using this as your hub. So using the announcements and Brightspace as your hub there. I know you use a lot of different tools at AACPS. I saw that Wixie was talked about earlier, so we'll start with Wixie. So if you have a Wixie item that you would like students to go to, you can grab the link for that. I'm just going to grab the Wixie link, but if you had an activity that you'd like them to be directed to, you would grab that URL, select the item that you would like that to take them to. So in this case, I'm going to make the number 1 take them to Wixie. So I can click on my insert link button here, and I can just pop in that Wixie link there. And so now when students click on this number 1, it will take them to Wixie there. If I want to do this within Brightspace, so maybe there's some Brightspace activities I'd like them to go to, a tip I'm going to offer is to make sure that students are directed to the correct areas in Brightspace. Before you grab the link, go up to your name here and select View as Student, because if you are grabbing a quiz or an assignment, if you are using that type of thing within Brightspace, teacher's view is different than student's view because you have the editing permissions and students do not. So if you just grab the link without viewing as a student, it will give students an error because they're trying to edit something that they don't have permission to edit. So the tip there is just to view as a student, to grab your links to make sure you don't run into any issues. And you can grab links for whatever it might be. So if it's a piece of content that you'd like them to go to. So I'm just going to grab this link here, and then I can jump back to my agenda, add in my link again, apply that there, and then perhaps I also have an assignment for them to go to. So as the teacher, I can go to all of the different tools that I need to, but students will only be clicking through the items that they need to. They don't need to be jumping around all through Brightspace and trying to find stuff in their nav bar. This is how students view assignments as well. If you've never seen this before, this is the way that this looks. So I can grab the link for this particular assignment. That way it'll take students right to this box here. And then I can go to number 3 again and add my link in there and apply that. So I've got now my path for students to work through. You could add as many slides as you'd like, continue to build this out. One thing that I've seen work really well is teachers will just have a running slide deck that you just bring to the next day. So if this is what you want them to work on Monday, you can bring this to the top so that students will see that right there. So students can see whatever the first slide is, and I'll show you what this looks like to actually put into Brightspace. So now I'm going to stop my view as a student here, and we're going to create our announcement. To create a new announcement, from the announcements tool, you can go to new announcement, can give it a headline, which is just our title. So I'm I'm just going to title this one Daily Work. And here's where we can fill out our content and what we want in there. To first add our Google slide, I'm going to jump back to my Google slide here. And if you haven't published something to the web before, I'll show you how to do that to get that code that you need. So you'll go to File, Share, and you'll see this Publish to the Web option. Again, this is in the slide deck that I've created. There's screenshots of how to do this. So when I select Publish to the Web, I'm going to jump over to that embed here. You can play around with the sizing if you would like to, depending on how big or how small you'd like it to be. You can customize that if you'd like. I'm just going to select Publish. It's going to ask me if I'm sure I would like to do that. I'm going to select OK. And then it's going to give me this embed code. So I can copy that. When I jump back to my announcement now, I'm going to go to my Insert Stuff button, which is this play, pause, record, fun little button there. Go down until I see Enter Embed Code. Paste that embed code. It's going to give me a preview, and then I can insert that there. So if I want more space as well, you can always go to full screen here so that you can see the entire screen as you're working through this. Now I've got my Google slide right within here. And as I mentioned, whatever the top slide is what students will see. So this is, since it's published to the web, this will automatically update as you bring slides to the top and rearrange them. So you don't need to worry about if you change the slides out in this slide deck, coming in every day and changing the embed code. You just need to reorder the slides. So I'll show you what that looks like. To finish building our announcement, I want to also show that video note tool that I mentioned, because again, it's great for our young learners. So I can explain to them what they need to be doing. So I'm going to turn my video off on Google because it won't let me use it in Brightspace if I have it on here. To get to my video note, you can go to your Insert Stuff button again. You'll notice that there's two options. There's Add Video Note and Video Note Search, as well as Media Library. So if you've created a video note in a previous class within Brightspace that you want to bring in here, you can search for that and bring that in from your media library. That's the nice thing about using Video Note, is that it's shared amongst Brightspace pretty easily. I'm going to create a new video note here so I can add my video note. Oh, it's going to that webcam. So I'm up there now, but I can record from my webcam, or if I have a file that I've already recorded on my computer, I can upload that as well. A newer feature that I really want to call out is that you can now toggle to audio only. So with Video Note here, if you don't want your face shown, if you don't need it to be a video, you just need the audio, you can toggle that right within here. So again, I have 30 minutes up to that to record. So I can record my instructions for my students, tell them how to walk through the Google slide, what they need to do. Stop that recording there. Add in a title. So the titling of your videos is very important so that you can find them properly later in the media library. So if I know I've been guilty before of just titling something like test or what the day of the week is, and then I forget what that actual video is, which then makes it very confusing when I try to find it later. So I'm going to title this Google Slides Instructions. And so that way I can use this at other times as well. If I make it generic about my Google Slides, I can do that. I can add a description for myself as well. Students will not see the description, but this is nice if you want to say when you made this or what it was for to bring you back to that original use case. And then this part here I like to call out. So this is where you can add your closed captioning automatically. You do have to select the language you're speaking in. So just to call out, this is not a translation tool. This is just a closed captioning tool. So it does have to be the language that you're speaking in. And it adds very little extra work to put in those captions. So a lot of students might not need the captions or might never look at them, but it's very simple to add, and it's a nice thing to have. Students do not need to have them turned on if they don't need them. So it's nice to automatically generate them right away, and that way students can turn them on if they need them, or parents if they ever need to take a look at something. So I can go to next there. That's going to bring that in, and I can insert that. It's going to take a second to buffer there. And because this is our announcement, I could continue to build this out with a lot more stuff in here. So I have my quick link. If there was items I wanted to link out to Brightspace, I could do all of that. I could do a lot more, but again, we don't need to. So we can keep this very simple in here with our Google slide and our video note there. And I can exit the full screen there. When I scroll down to finish making my announcement, you'll notice there's availability dates. So if you would like this to be posted at a certain time and removed at a certain time, you can set that. So if you have an announcement, again, maybe it's someone's birthday and you want to make an announcement, but have it removed that day, you can do that. You can also add attachments. If there's a file or something you need to have attached there, you can do that. And then this is kind of a next step if this is something you would like to try. There's the release conditions. This is not required, but if there's students that you only want a certain group of students to see this announcement, you can create a release condition so that that happens. So a release condition is an if-then statement. So if a student does this in Brightspace, then this gets released to them. This is not a requirement. I do just like to call it out in case it's something that is helpful for you. And then I can publish my announcement there. And when I jump back to my home screen, I can see my Google slide right within there and my video note. It always gives me the best thumbnail images. And you can turn on your closed captioning if you would like to from this little settings here, or turn them off if you'd like to as well. Students can full screen it. You can do whatever you need to with the video there. And just to demonstrate again how I mentioned that you can drag around the different slides so that they're relevant. If this is the slide that I would like students to go through first, I can bring this to the top. And then now when I reload Brightspace here, oops, let's see. I'll reload Google first. There we go. When I reload Brightspace there, students can click through and see that there. So again, you just need to have whatever the top slide is so that students can access that. Before we take some time for you to play with this and build on your own, I do just want to show you what this looks like from the student perspective in case you haven't seen that before. So I am just going to, I'll just view as a student here. So you can see that the homepage looks very similar for students as it does for teachers. It's really just the access that is different here. So you'll see that if I click on this, students, of course, do not have the option to create an announcement or do anything like that. I can click on my numbers that I need to here. So it'll take me to a new screen, which is nice. It doesn't close Brightspace there. So students can work through their Wixie activity. When I click on this second one here, it takes me to the content that we linked right within here so that students can do that. And then when I go here, it takes me to my assignment that I need to do as well and takes student right to the submission piece there. And students also have the option again to watch the video. Let me see, I just see a question. Can students delete announcements? So I believe, I'm just in person.
They can dismiss. They can dismiss announcements. They can't delete them, but they can dismiss them. They would still be available in the announcements tool, but they would not show on the home screen. So that's something that you do have to watch out for.
Yeah. All right. So again, I did want to make sure I left time for you to be able to do this for yourself. Whether it's just creating an announcement, if you want to use the Google Slides, if you want to just do video notes, however you would like to do this. Darren, before we take some time for that, are there any questions that I should address?
I believe I was able to address them all in the chat, but please speak up if I did not answer your question completely, but I believe I did. Just got a shout out. This is good info. Yes.
Oh, awesome. Good. I'm glad. Okay, perfect. So I think we'll take some time now. As you're working through, if you have any questions, please just come off mute or put them in the chat. I wanted to give lots of time to, again, have something usable from today that you can pop into your class. So I'll stop my share here. I just see some questions as, can students create video notes? Yes. So students, in discussions, assignments, all of that can create a video note as well, which is really nice for those early learners who, again, might not be at writing level yet, can just create a video note. I can quickly show that if that's helpful, just as everybody's getting set up.
And I'm doing a session later today. I believe it's the last session of the day, new to Brightspace. So I'm going to be going over the media library that Bridget referenced. Any video note created by you or the student in any course goes into your media library, which then can be referenced again for that course or any other course that you're a teacher in or have access to. So it's like a repository of anything, any media that you create or upload into the system. It's really cool. Samantha just asked, what is the best way to add slides if you want every student to get a copy? Yeah, you would have to do this in a Google assignment if you wanted the automatic copy for every student.
Yes, that's correct. I'm just going to share my screen just to show what the student workflow is to create a video note. It's very similar to the teacher workflow, but again, I just want to call that out. So just because a discussion was one that was mentioned, let's go there. I'm in here again viewing as a student. So this was March break. What are you most excited about? I can reply to this. Start a new thread. So as long as students have the Brightspace editor or in assignments, they have the option just to create a video note. I can, as a student, go here and I have my video note options there. So students can create their video notes, again, up to 30 minutes. Awesome. So again, take some time to work through this. Please ask any questions that you have as you're going through, but I'll stop my screen share just so everybody has their full screens. Yeah. From Stephanie about can show where the media library is. I can do that.
You're going to find that in your nav bar in class tools, or if you go up to your gear in the top right corner, there's a direct link to the media library.
Yes. Yeah. So again,
way that everyone has.
Yeah. So if you click on the little gear beside your name, you'll see there are a couple options. We're going to click on Media Library. And here is all of the videos that you've created within Brightspace. So Media Library exists at the Brightspace level, not necessarily at the course level. So you can use these videos in multiple courses if you teach different courses, which is really nice. This is also the spot where you can rename the videos or edit them if you need to, add a description, preview them. So if you do have the problem that I have of not properly naming videos, you can come in here, watch them, rename them properly, add a description so that you know what they are. Is there a way to sort and organize them? So you can, you can add filters for them based on date modified, date created, the source. So there's not a way to build your own categories and filter them that way, but you can filter them based off of different settings here that you can play around with. Yeah, naming conventions are important. And if you do need to add one as well, if you're at the media library point, you can always add from this part as well. And just one other thing I like to call out is if I delete a video, so let's just pretend I need to delete this one. it'll go to my recycle bin, and I have 90 days from the point of deleting it to recover it. So after those 90 days, it will be gone, but you can recover it up until that point. So if I need to do that, I can restore that video and have it pop back in here. As you're going through this and building your own and playing with this, I do just want to pop in the chat a link for some templates that have been created by AACPS about the different agendas. Those are in the resources as well. Just wanted to pop that link in there. I see there's a question about code.org through Brightspace. Darren, I might let you handle that one just because I'm not familiar with the code.org.
Valerie, definitely. Yeah, you could definitely put the links to code.org. And if you have separate links for separate kids or whatever, you can put multiple links in. Like Bridget mentioned earlier, if you want to get really creative, you can release certain announcements to certain groups of kids if you want to play with the groups tool. I like the groups tool. It's easy to use. You can put kids in groups and then release things to certain groups of students. So yeah, definitely put links to outside resources and announcements.
Just to Darren's point as well about linking to things, I'm just going to show you a screen really quickly. If you are building an announcement and maybe you're not doing the Google Slides with it, but you just want to add in a link to something, if you go to your Insert Stuff button, you can insert links from here as well. So you can put in a URL. Let's see if I still have my, yeah, perfect. So I can put that one in there. I can add the link text. So just class agendas, refresh the preview. So it will show up small as a little link there for students. So for our young learners, the numbers that are easier to click here are great, but if you did just want to do the insert link there, that's an option as well.
You could also type the text first and then use that keyboard shortcut, Control K, my favorite keyboard shortcut.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Just some other things that I'd like to call out as you're working through the announcements, because there was a question about if students dismissed an announcement. You can, if you come in here and edit something, you can tag that you've made a major edit to something and it sends a notification and restores that for students who may have dismissed it. So you can come in here and change something. It'll be put back on students' homepage so they can't run away from it that easy. It'll still be there for them. And if it is helpful, I don't want to add more confusion. So if it is helpful, I'm happy to show the release conditions. So if that's helpful for anybody, please just pop that into the chat. If not, I'll let you just continue to play.
That's a good tip about major edit. I didn't think about that. That'll be perfect.
Yes, Sarah. So the question is, can you click major edit even if you haven't changed anything to force it back up? Yeah, so if you just come in here to edit this, the system doesn't know if it's been a big edit or not. So it's totally up to you what you call as a major edit. So even if I just pretended to put something in here and added a space, for example, I could then check off my major edit button.
Amanda, I'm going to answer your question out loud. So if you attach a Google Documents a slide in an assignment, does it give each student a copy? Only if you use the Google Assignments tool within the assignment. So you can just put a link to a document, view only, students can then view it. If you want each student to get a copy, you're going to use the Google Assignments feature or tool, which is a third-party tool that has been added on to our Brightspace environment. And I'll put some directions in the chat on step-by-step on how to do that.
There's just a question of, can you show me one more time how to insert the Google Slides into the announcement after publishing? Yes, I can. So I'm just going to create a new announcement. Okay, so at the Google Slides point, you'll go to File, Share, Publish to the web. And then Embed is the option you want. You'll grab that code there. I'm just going to create a new announcement here, but you could do this within an existing announcement. And then within the content of the announcement, you will go to Insert Stuff, which is that pause, play, record button there. until you see enter embed code. You will paste that code there and select next. It will bring in a preview of what that looks like. And I can have that there. Again, you can play with the sizing if you'd like to. Make it smaller, make it bigger, it's up to you. No problem.
Bridget, could you go over the options for posting a link, how to share a link in announcements?
Yes, just to make sure I'm answering the correct thing, within the announcement tool or within the Google slide?
You know what? That's a good clarification question. I believe it's within the announcement tool, but
yes, within the new announcements.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yes. Awesome. So to do that, I'm just going to get rid of the Google slide so we have more space. There's two different options. If you wanted to insert a link to an external website or tool or something not within Brightspace, you'll go to Insert Stuff here, and you'll see this Insert Link button. And so I can click on Insert Link. It's going to have the option to put in my URL. You could also use Darren's trick that he suggested as well. I'm just going to grab this Wixie link just because that's what we've been playing with today. So I put in that URL, select next. I could change the text here. So Wixie, I can change the preview if I want. And one thing to note is because it is kind of small there, you can change the size of the text and the way that it looks as well. So maybe I want it to be, maybe I want it to be like very large so that students can see it a little bit more because it will default to be a bit small. And if you ever need to edit the link, you can do that there as well. If you want to, why isn't that? If you want to add a link to something within Brightspace, you'll use this quick link button here. So if I click insert quick link, it's wanting me to, there we go. Insert quick link, this will bring up everything within Brightspace. So if there's a discussion I'd like to link students to, I can link directly to that there as well.
Can I ask a question about posting for the databases?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
So whenever I have students get into a database, for example, if I want them on a specific page of a database, for example, on PebbleGo, I was having them look at be on the page that has all the different careers. So I posted the PebbleGo link using the link, the way that you just showed to use the link. However, every single time, if you click sign in with Google, once you're there, it won't take them there. So they always have to open PebbleGo prior to opening the link, and it gets confusing for students. Is there an easier way to be posting these online databases for students to get to?
So certain databases are only authenticate with ClassLink or Mac and Via, depending on the database, what office purchased them. So it kind of depends. So I think you really just got to experiment with those. So a good practice is making sure students have gotten into Brightspace through ClassLink. So then their ClassLink is open, that then should authenticate the links you post. But there are some that can only be accessed through ClassLink or Mac and Via. I don't, off the top of my head, I'm not sure if PebbleGo is one of those, but I'm assuming it is.
Okay, I'm just checking. I'm not there today trying something with my assistant, and I was using WorldBook too, and I wasn't sure if it would do the same thing, but I've been experimenting with
I'm
it.
pretty sure WorldBook integrates directly with Brightspace, so you should be fine there. I'll post something about databases in the chat in just a second.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
I also saw another question come through just about if you need to publish to the web every time you make an update. You do not need to. So as long as you've published to the web at one point in time and you keep that announcement, I'm just going to cancel this out. You keep that announcement with the Google slide in there. It should automatically update as you rearrange the slide deck. So if I actually wanted this Tuesday one to be brought to the top, can do that, or Monday one, however I want to organize that. And then when I come in here, it's automatically bringing that to the top there. So publish to the web once, insert it in Brightspace once, and then just rearrange as needed. I see as well there's some questions about Wixie within announcements. I just used Wixie today as an example because it was talked about in the chat. I'm not familiar with all of the ins and outs of it, but you can link to anything within Brightspace. So I see that Darren posted some additional Wixie information as well. So thank you for that. I just see a comment about it. If you assign students in Wixie, they need to go into their Wixie account and you can't link it. Darren clarified that Wixie does integrate with Brightspace, and you could use the release conditions, as I mentioned before, if you really want to send information to specific students for specific links for them. You can get as granular or as high level with announcements and Brightspace as you would like to.
Yeah, Miss X, yes. We can't use the login with Google for Pebble Go. You do have to, it does authenticate through Mac and Via. So they do have to log in there first.
Okay, so how I'm teaching them that they have to open Mac and Via first is the correct way.
Yeah,
And then click the link.
yeah.
There is a workaround to this. The unfortunate part of Pebble Go is that you can't link to like a home page where you are with Jobs in the Community. If you wanted to link to a specific article within Jobs in the Community, there's a copy link button right at the top of the article that without logging into Mac and Via would open that article. But if you want them to select a job from the community, you're going to have to go to Mac and Via first, and then they can open that link.
Okay. And we're getting used to that. I just wanted to double check. Okay. Thank you so much.
We do have about 5 or 6 minutes left, so please continue to play with this, build some announcements. I hope this has been helpful for you. Pop some questions into the chat as you're working through this. I really appreciate all of the engagement and helping each other out as well, so thank you so much for that. I do just want to call out that in the slide deck, there's just some resources here just about those agendas, the resource I put in there, as well as just the general link to the AACPS Brightspace Teacher Intro Digital Tools there. And then through the slide deck here, if you go through it later, there's a breakdown of the Google Slides in Brightspace and how to get that published to the web, how to create it, where to put it with an embed code as well. So just wanted to call that out there. And then just an example of using Video Note, how you can post that, record the video, as well. And if you have any questions, please continue to let Darren know, and he will make sure to get some help there. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that these slides had some resources for them as well. But for the last couple of minutes, please continue to play. And I see Darren's put the attendance in there, so thank you.
Please make sure you get the attendance link. That is mandatory for each session. So I did share at the beginning, someone asked for the session 1 attendance because they missed it. It was not shared during Wixie. So that was only for session 1. The one I just shared is for session 3. You do have to fill out one for each session. So make sure you've done session 1 and now session 3.
Yeah, I never got the attendance link for session 1 in Wixie either.
Okay, I shared that at the beginning, but I can put it in there right now. Just everyone be aware. The one I'm about to post is for session 1, and I'll post session 3 again.
Thank you.
And as some people start to trickle out, I just want to thank you all again so much for joining me this hour. I hope this has been helpful and you've gotten some tips to take away. Please, I will stay on for the next couple of minutes, so let me know if you have any additional questions. But thank you all so much for your time, and have a great rest of your eCoach day.
Hey, Darren, just since I'm in here, can I ask you one more question real quick?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So when I'm copying and importing, I'm following the directions to copy and import things into different classes. I'm sorry, I know this is off topic. I waited to the end. So let's say that I already have, like, I'm using the same, I already have sorry, I have to look at it, a unit with my student, with my